And here we have again the same situation where they've now introduced this model. And obviously, one day will be a day of rest.
Yeah.
Which day will that be, Martin?
Sunday.
It will be Sunday. And because it is a 6-day work week, and Sunday is an obligatory day of rest, when it becomes that,
Yeah.
it's already written basically
Most laws.
in the grey areas, then there will be no leeway for you to choose another day.
No.
Right?
No.
So this is very interesting. Can this be a role model for other countries? They're asking this question. Actual fact, in 2009, they already decided that this was going to be the role model because it was enforced by the banking powers that bailed them out.
Yeah.
So very interesting
Development.
development.
For
Very
sure,
interesting indeed. And then, Martin, there's another very interesting development in the United States where the state of Louisiana has decided to make it obligatory to put the 10 Commandments back into the schoolrooms.
Yes.
And Republican Governor Jeff Landry signed the legislation from a Catholic school auditorium last week. That's very interesting, huh?
It's not separated from the Catholic system.
Yes. After announcing that he can't wait to be sued by turning Louisiana into the first state to mandate the 10 Commandments in schools. Now, this is a test case for the separation of church and state.
That's it. This is going to be a very important one to look at.
Yes.
But it's already a precursor.
Yes. But it's being provocative, right?
It's very provocative.
All right. And he says he can't wait to be sued. Why not? Because the idea is to take it all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Exactly.
What they basically want is a ruling by the Supreme Court that it does not violate the separation of church and
Exactly.
state.
And the First Amendment.
And the First Amendment.
And if you just speculate a little bit, who's the majority on the Supreme Court?
Yes. It's Catholics.
It's Catholics.
Catholics. Louisiana law requires all schools to display the text exactly as written in the bill and in a poster or framed document that is at least 11 inches by 14 inches at minimum and in large, easily readable font. Judge Herlens, who has 2 children in New Orleans public elementary schools, said Louisiana's specific state-approved version of the 10 Commandments are not the commandments as I and many Jews know them. The display spells out the name of God, for example. Be that as it may, Martin, it's interesting that he read it from a Catholic school auditorium.
Yeah, I'm
Now,
sure.
the world is actually keeping the Catholic commandments because they keep Sunday holy.
Yes.
That's a Catholic law, as we have seen. It's not a biblical law. So the 10 Commandments, as they will have been displayed, will represent the Catholic version.
Definitely.
Okay, and not the biblical version.
No, especially when it comes to the 4th commandment, they'll put the short version in.
Correct. But this is the point where we are at. There is a push to get religion back into the system, right?
Correct?
We carry on reading. Rachel Laser, whose group Americans United for the Separation of Church and State, argued at the Supreme Court in another major First Amendment test in 2022, said Louisiana's law is a prime example of the Christian nationalism that is on the march across this country. From mandating religious displays in schools to supporting book bans and installing chaplains in classrooms. The political ideology is a fundamental threat to our democracy, she said. So here is a major challenge.
Yes.
Is this a challenge between the King of the North and the King of the South?
Definitely.
Huh?
Definitely, because this is a prime example of that.
All right, and we've had all of these ideological issues running in the background of late, and so there was this political cartoon, if we can say it that way, that was publicized, and here's a teacher with something in her hand, and she says, "In schools, outrageous," and she pastes this poster over it. So is it a moral issue?
Oh, for sure. And this is again a prime example of king of the north, king of the south.
It's two ideologies.
Yeah.
Now, if you have trashed the king of the south ideology by taking it from the sublime to the ridiculous, and this is basically what the argument is, right? And you have all the transgender issues. These are there to fray the nerves of people.
For sure.
And push them in a direction. It's a very nice Hegelian dialectic. And it's very easy to climb onto the bandwagon.
You can be sucked into this.
And make yourself a soapbox.
Especially when you read the Bible, when you're a Christian, then this is the type of thing that will suck you in very quickly.
Okay, is it a question of worship?
It is.
It is a question of worship, all right? There's something else here. If you look at the way it's portrayed here, even in the cartoon, and you look at the two tables of stone, is this how it's portrayed in the Bible? 5 on one and 5 on the other?
No.
No, right?
No, it's 4-6.
It's 4-6. And the very long ones are here on the first table, referring to your duty towards God. Mm-hmm. And there are only 4, the fourth one being the Sabbath commandment. But here there are 5. And you can be pretty sure that the Sabbath will not be the Sabbath, but the Sunday, right?
That's it.
Because there are so many movements that attach the Sunday to the issue.
Exactly. That would be the one that only states, remember to keep the Sabbath day holy. And that's where it ends. So not linking it to the 7th day where it says, because God was your creator.
All right. If this becomes a state law, and it is the same as the Catholic version, then who receives the worship?
The Catholic Church.
The church receives the worship. And they worshipped him, this beast.
Yeah.
Doesn't the Bible say they worshipped him? And in other places, the Bible says, he that you obey, you are subject to.
Yeah.
So if you are obedient to a wrong cause, then you are subject to a wrong cause. Right?
That's it.
So it is a religious issue of worship, and it has been portrayed in such a fashion that people are riled up and ready to take the law into their own hands.
That's it. So you've got a lot of people supporting and a lot of people that's on board with this, and you've got a lot of them on the secular side almost. But then there are also some that sees there's red lights for this. There's no room for legislation in of God's laws.
Yes, but the trouble is those that see that there is something wrong with it are, unfortunately, a large number of them are on the drag queen wavelength.
Exactly.
And the abortion wavelength, and the transgender wavelength, and the etc. wavelength. They don't see the real issue. Mm-hmm. The issue is, who do you worship? The system, the world's laws and moral issues, or God's?
Yeah.
That's the real issue.
So maybe we can just make it clear again. Don't get sucked into this.
No, don't get sucked in. Don't get sucked into the ideology. Personally, you would say, well, I rejoice that the 10 Commandments are getting a place again.
Exactly.
But you can't rejoice if they're the wrong ones.
It's a problem.
Okay. So they referred in that article that there is a rise of Christian nationalism.
Mm-hmm. We've been talking about this for a long time.
Long time. But you can't divorce Christian nationalism from dominionism.
Yes.
They are linked like Siamese twins.
Yeah, no.
Because
Inseparable.
Christian nationalism can be a sentiment,
Yeah.
but dominionism is a law.
Okay. You have to explain that for us.